Hello, boils and ghouls. You are now tuned in to PVD Horror Podcast. Pleasant screams.
Hey, what's going on? You're now tuned in to the PVD Horror Podcast. I'm Brandon, and I'm joined by my co-host Dave. Today, we're back again for another crazy monthly horror recap to go over so much crazy shit. You know, Dave, we had so much going on these last few months. We've been like kind of held up. So
yeah,
like this is our way.
I don't even know what month we're in, dude. It's been so much going on.
Yeah, we're in May. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Mid-May, the 20th.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
This year is flying by, and we're almost in full swing of summer, which is absolutely insane. So
yeah, and you know what? Next week we're kicking off for another PVD horror movie screening of Death Spa at Buttonwoods Brewery. We're gonna be showing. I said Death Spa already, right? Said Death Spa.
Yeah.
Death Spa, yeah. But it's a special.
Spa.
It's a special Death Spa. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying I get caught up on my words because we're actually having Karen Parsons. You might know her as Hillary Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We had her on the podcast. We're gonna be having her at Buttonwoods Brewery to do a little, meet and greet and then show the film that kicked off her acting career. So
yeah. It's going to be a good time. I know there's a lot of people who have been reaching out, asking about that. Just the only thing I want to make sure to remind people is the meet and greet is going to be before the film. Mm-hmm. Typically, when you do these things, like sometimes it'll be after, but we got to get that going before the film. So 7:00, I believe, is our start time for that.
All right. So we have some other horror news. Sometimes, it sucks. We always start this off with a passing of, someone from the horror community. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So back in April, actually, it was April 22nd, Laura Park Lincoln passed away from breast cancer at the age of 63. For those who are familiar with her, Laura played Tina Shepard in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and super beloved member of the horror community. Still was like heavily involved in a lot of stuff with Friday the 13th. I know she had linked up with Peter Anthony and his Rosebud blood film and kind of, some of the films he was making, and just, everything I've ever heard about her was always super positive and that she was like a sweet person. I never got the opportunity to meet her, which kind of sucks. And this is why we always say, when you guys get to those conventions, make sure you meet the people you want to meet, because you never know how long they're going to be around, and when that opportunity is no longer available, right? So
yeah,
sad that for her passing. I know a lot of people were expressing just how much she meant to them and how much love Friday the 13th Part 7 was getting was actually kind of throwing me off, because I never really thought about that film as being one that might be on people's tops of the Friday the 13th list, but there was a lot of people that were like just saying how much they love that film.
Yeah, it was a special film, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's different, right?
Yeah, definitely different. That's the thing, about the Friday the 13th, franchise. They take chances at doing different things, and Laura was a big piece of our childhood, and for me as a fan of that franchise, so losing her, and like you said, working with Peter Anthony on his latest fan film, it's so crazy, you know what I mean, because you can see people having so much fun in one moment, and the next minute you don't even realize what they're going through in life.
Yeah that's true. I think we see that plenty of times, especially in this kind of industry where people are showing you their best face as much as possible, and then you might not hear from them for a while, and then something sad happens, even with like Tony Todd, him being sick, not kind of in the public eye sick for a long time, and then all of a sudden you hear their passing and find out that they were struggling with something. And I know some people were already familiar with kind of her battle and everything like that. So, but 63 is obviously still rather young. So, and our thoughts and prayers are with her family and her friends and all of her loved ones. So yeah, just want to start things off by giving a little remembrance and honor to her.
Yeah. And also, even today, just waking up, you always get those text messages of doo doo doo, and it's just going down, something else added. But, George Wyndon from Cheers that played Norm passed away today.
Really?
Yeah, he passed away. And you might know him from House in the horror community
Yeah.
and, some of the Tales from the Crypt episodes and
Wow.
VFW, with George Begas, his film,
Yep.
so
Yep.
that's the thing, and that, like I said, we're just losing a lot of, great icons that were in the acting world and touched in horror. So, you know,
Yeah.
condolences to their families
Wow.
and everybody that were big fans.
Damn, that just threw me off. I didn't know. I didn't hear that. So you just actually broke that news to me as well as
Yeah,
whoever else is listening. So,
yeah,
damn. All right. And also just, another quick one. Just wanted to give also our thoughts and prayers out to Mark Patton, who continues to struggle with health issues. He recently
yep,
posted just to kind of show people that he's still around.
hmm
But he's been struggling more and more. So I just wanted to kind of like, give him a little shout out. And hope that for a recovery, and you're not going to say speedy because there's been nothing speedy about everything that he's been struggling with.
yeah,
But I'm just glad to see that he's at least checking in and showing people his face to make sure that we know he's still around and he's doing okay or as best as he can. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
yeah. And so, and just for the, like we just said, for everybody that's out there that's, listening and, supporting us. Thank you so much because I know a lot of people, in the world right now just have a lot going on, you know what I mean? And so for like sometimes it really doesn't hit us to realize that, sometimes we're someone's escape, you know what I mean? And it's really great to kind of like hear that from some people when they do let us know that. Like I said before, people say that our podcast or anything, our content gets them through hard times. And so, if that's you, definitely understand that we really appreciate everything because even us, we go through a lot of shit and we still just
Hmm.
pump this content and do it. And, I mean, it's just so much going on. And, this is something that we do to kind of like, get away from, the
Yeah.
world at times,
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. 2025 has been a shitty year for a lot of people. And like,
Mm,
I think more than ever, PVD horror has been like really helpful to me to kind of like
yeah.
help me escape. So
Yep.
if that's the same for other people, then hey, I appreciate you more than you know. So thank you.
Yeah. So if you're listening to us on, just podcast platforms or anything like that, do know that we are also on YouTube. This episode right here is live on YouTube. So definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel at PVD Horror. We are on TikTok, Instagram,
Yeah.
uh,
Blue Sky
everything, X.
X. Yep.
So,
And if you do switch, like you don't have to switch over, but if you check out the YouTube page,
mhm,
we actually put on more on YouTube than you're going to get in just our audio stuff. So we got movie reviews, book reviews, event coverage, and stuff like that. Some of our
yeah,
live event things have been on there periodically. So, not that we want people to stop listening and just go all switch over there, but if you want to see a little bit more content, feel free.
yeah, and also we added PVD Horror Gaming over on YouTube. So if you're a big gamer and you like horror games or anything like that, or just about any content, we dropped a few episodes, talking about the
Hmm.
upcoming Switch 2 and some of our favorite horror games. There's going to be a lot more coming on that. So, and that will cross over into the podcast also as we do
Absolutely.
full length episodes. But for right now, you can find that on YouTube. So.
Okay.
All right, so let's get the ball rolling,
Here we
for
go.
everybody that's, if you're a Fango subscriber, you know what I mean? If that's Fangoria. If you're a big fan of the Fangoria magazine, if you've always been on the fence of, subscribing, I think now's the time. You know what I mean? Because there's so much cool shit. When you're a subscriber, you get special covers. And so, Dave, we have a special cover coming up for
Oh, I can't
August.
wait. Yes,
You know what
yes.
I mean? So I know you're pumped about that. You want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah, so we got a Toxic Avenger, the
Yeah.
reboot cover coming our way. And that is going to be so amazing. I'm super pumped for that. I'm actually curious what the regular cover is going to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like knowing that ahead of time so I can see like how much better the subscriber cover is going to be. I like that little humble brag, like I'm going to get this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super pumped for that. And they're, you know, when you get these subscriber ones, they send you that email ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's just to kind of let you know it's on its way. And it's just that little anticipation right there. It's like, yes, it's coming in. And it's pretty quick after that email. So
Yeah. It's special too because it's like I like as soon as I get it in, I'm like boom, taking a picture,
yeah.
kind of putting it on the internet, and it's like so crazy because I think that I get my copy before a lot of people. You know what I mean? So it's like
You
because I
the only issue they like you always get it like a day or two before me.
mm-hmm.
The only issue I thought I got before you was the David Lynch one. I
Yep.
started snapping some pictures because I was going to do the same thing.
Yep.
And then as soon as I went to go post, you had already posted yours. So I was like, damn it. So we got it on the same day that time.
Okay.
But usually you get it like a day or two before me.
Yeah. And it's special because like I said, if you're on the fence and you just never dived into it, right now is the time. We have been partnering with Fangoria for the last, what, 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go online and you subscribe to, Fangoria, you can type in the promo code PVD horror and save 20% on your subscription for the year, or even if you just want to buy one magazine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or say you want to buy a shirt or a hat or whatever you're a fan of, like you can
Or
use that pro.
a
What
back
is it?
catalog
Oh yeah.
issue. They just I don't know if you saw this. They just put the first issue #1 up.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so they got the Godzilla issue up on
Okay.
there on the website. So you can get that Fangoria #1 issue if you wanted to, and you can use the 20% off.
Yeah, that's big because I think that a lot of people always kind of look at it and are like, oh, I don't know. I get it. I'm the same with subscriptions for magazines, but if I'm a big fan of something, I'm definitely jumping in. So I've been a subscriber for a long time. I remember when you first put me on to them, and I was just like, I had known about them, but I was just never like consistently getting them. And then you just
Mhm.
like came and dropped off a few, and I'm like, all right, I'm hooked. And so it's been great, doing that little partnership with them. And kind of like spreading the word to other horror fans. So,
Absolutely. And if you're, another thing we should mention is if you're a subscriber, you also get an opportunity to be part of the Fangoria community.
okay, yeah.
So the Fangoria community has, well, they have a Facebook page that you can kind of like talk to other Fangoria subscribers, promote your content if you're a content creator, or just connect with other people. But also they do, what do they call it? Not like city hall nights, but they have like Zoom meetings
Yeah.
every few weeks, and sometimes it's just like Fangoria editors and writers,
Hmm.
or other times they get like guests to come on.
Yeah.
Um, who was it? Lee Winnell
Yeah, he
was
was
that
on there.
he was
Yep.
on that, and I watched that interview, and I was able to ask him a few questions on there. And there was a bunch of other subscribers and fans on there on the Zoom call. We all got to chat with him and just listen to his talking about creating Evil Dead Rise. That was an awesome experience. I
Mm.
also did it with I want to say it was someone who worked on In a Violent Nature, which was a
Okay.
cool one to hear the process. So yeah, it's just another cool perk to have. Like you're not just getting a magazine, but you're getting a community, and you're getting these other perks of just being able to connect in these like Zoom meetings with filmmakers. And
Yeah.
yeah, just like who else is offering that,
Yeah. So definitely take advantage of that opportunity right now. Shout out to Fangoria. Um, yeah, man. You also, because the subscriber, like you said, was a David Lynch one, but the big issue for everyone worldwide was Sinners. I
Yeah,
didn't
and
pick that one up yet. I need to get that.
I had been looking for it. It's so funny because somebody posted it on X.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw it that day. I saw it on there, and I was like, that's awesome. And then
Hmm.
that day I found it in the bookstore, and I had been looking for weeks for that, and I hadn't been able to find it. So I feel like the bookstores are getting their copies in, or at least around here, they're getting them
Okay.
way after the fact. So I think they're there now, to be honest with you, which is funny because now the new issue is going to be coming out soon. So
Yeah.
they're behind. That's the other thing. If you wait to just get in the bookstore, you're gonna have to wait a long time, and everyone's already
Hmm.
gonna. It's all gonna be old news by that time.
Yep. And also, one of our other partners that we collab with is Showcase Cinemas. We were able to check out, Blumhouse's Halfway to Halloween.
Yeah.
That was a good time. They had brought back Annabelle, Ma, and Megan. So,
Yes.
those are some of Blumhouse's biggest films, fan favorites, three icons back on the screen for one night only. And it lasted 3 weeks, so this time. So it was really special for us to be able to go back and check those films out on the big screen. I think you were even talking about it too. I don't even think you've seen, was it Annabelle on the big screen when it first
Yeah.
came
No,
out?
I hadn't. I had seen it at home.
Mm,
Ma I saw on the big screen. Megan I saw at home. So yeah, they for people who didn't get that opportunity the first time around, which I'm sure I'm not the only one.
mm,
That was a cool way for them to be able to see it on the screen. And also, I mean, those are three, pretty well known and loved films,
yeah.
especially Annabelle and um, Megan. I was kind of surprised they threw Ma in there, but
Yeah.
it's Ma's kind of an underrated film. I feel like that was entertaining. I
Yeah, I
enjoyed it.
think my kids enjoyed it. Something different, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
added up something with the younger core audience. I think it hit with them, so
Hmm.
that's good. And also, we have a special screening of 28 days later, returning to the big screen.
Yeah.
And if you're listening on Wednesday, that means that it's coming out tonight. So check your local listings for all your theaters because it's going to come onto the big screen. And at the end, it's going to have, some little bonus content for 28 years later that's coming out. So that's a big film that we're looking forward to. I know that you talked about
Ugh.
that. So.
I always share this, just how much 28 days later, how much that meant to me. That
Hmm.
film really, like, I was probably still in my closeted horror years at that time.
Mm,
I didn't really like, I would go see movies, but and like they were always horror based, but I wouldn't like tell everyone, oh, I'm a horror fanatic or whatever. But when I
yeah.
saw that film, I was like, this movie felt like it was made for me. It had like that indie feel to it. It was
Yep.
kind of grimy. I just loved like the score and just the sounds of it and everything, but also just the idea of like waking up and you're in the middle of London and it's just
Yeah.
you're all alone. It gave me chills when I first saw that.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved the experience of seeing that in the big screen. So if you have the opportunity and you were someone who didn't get to see it there,
Hmm.
go see it on the big screen. It is just something to behold on there.
Yeah. I'm gonna be definitely in attendance because I am someone that wasn't able to see it on the big screen. Not because I chose not to, but at that time, there was just so much going on in the world where, you had easy access to a lot of films at times, and I was able to actually get my hands on like a bootleg screener copy. You know what I mean? But it is what it is at that time. But it was a real deal copy, like top
Yeah.
quality, and so I had the film before it came out, and you know, at that time, like, I was probably like a junior in high school. I wasn't like
Yeah.
looking to go, oh, well, I'm going to the theater. Like I have this at home. But I'm definitely gonna be. I'm pumped to go see this on the big screen because I was able to see, the second film on the big screen. So I just want to go in, refresh. You know what I mean? Because it's been a long time since that. What,
Yeah.
2003?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
That is absolutely crazy.
yeah, so it's cool to kind of like see the previews for that because even my kids, when they seen the previews for the new one, they're just like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, you guys have no idea."
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the new one too. Like I
Mm,
feel like that's one of those franchises that has so much potential to continue to like put it in a good direction.
yeah,
And with bringing in those original like director and writer and everything like that to me is how you do it.
yeah,
Like you bring in that original energy and you kind of let them see what they can do with it. So really anticipating that one.
yeah. And we, had a crazy few months. Like we said, we're covering April and May right now. So we've been at the movie theaters and just kind of like crushing some films. We've been talking about how all the release dates have just been coming so fast, because
Yeah.
the beginning of the year. Like we were in January and we were just like so pumped for a lot of big releases, and then it's like we're being hit like every week with something now. So
Yep.
what have you seen in the theater so
All
far?
right. So we mentioned Sinners, which I mean,
Yep.
also, we talked in depth about Sinners on
Yeah.
another podcast.
Yep.
In love with horror, like um that interview, well, not interview, but that episode
Yep.
was, I think, more than enough. So people should definitely check that out.
Oh, it's classic.
And we don't need to say much more than that, other than that we both loved it.
5 out of 5, 10 out of 10.
And watching it at IMAX
Oh
was
yeah.
probably the best experience. I don't think I've ever like felt myself like moving in my seat, dancing, and like just
You were
wanting to
dancing?
move. I wanted to move,
You
man.
weren't dancing.
I was, dude. Don't even lie.
You sit right next to me and see you dancing.
You were too locked in on the screen. I was moving. I just, I wanted, you just wanted to like immerse yourself in that experience. It was so good. So
Yeah.
yeah, that, with that being said, other films we checked out. Until Dawn, I wanted to bring that up
Mm,
because I think that I heard negative
yeah.
reactions to it.
Yep.
And you saw it first and said, I don't think you're going to have the same reaction as what you're hearing as much, right? And
Yeah.
and I went in and kind of low expectations, and I said nothing's really going to surprise me here. If it's
Hmm.
trash, then it's trash. I kind of liked it. It was a
Oh no,
popcorn
yeah.
movie, right?
Yeah.
It was a teen popcorn movie. It kept me entertained. I actually took two individuals that I was working with to go see it.
Hmm.
They loved the hell out of it, which made it an even better experience. They were like, "Oh my god!" Like they were scared. For people who don't know, like Brandon and I work with people with disabilities, so like
Hmm.
just their enjoyment of it was actually adding to the experience. But I was like, wow, this is a lot of fun, and I don't hate this. I,
Yeah.
I don't get why people hate it, because like,
I
what
get
was I
why.
supposed to be expecting?
I get why. Because people wanted it to be so close to the game. They wanted it to be the game. But, if you're a big fan of the Until Dawn, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
And so, the game itself is just like so great because it's a film and a game, you know what I mean? And then,
yeah,
so I think people probably wanted that and then they just went so far off. And I
sure.
think, and that's the thing, we talked about it so many times. Um, you're never going to satisfy anyone that's coming out of playing a game because, even Resident Evil hasn't been able to capture that. We'll see if they'll be able to do that because, like I said, the creator of Barbarian is going to be doing the next Resident
Sure.
Evil. But you just and if you're a listener, also we've been doing like recaps of episodes of The Last of Us, and so myself and Dave we've been talking about it. I'm a gamer. I played the game. Dave hasn't. So just seeing everything kind of play out from my end, knowing what's happening, and then Dave not knowing what's happening, it's definitely different because he's taken in a lot of stuff, and I'm just like, well, that wasn't in the game, and he's just
Yeah,
like,
you're
oh,
constantly
okay.
comparing. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's hard because and it's like at the same time I enjoy both, but you're just gonna have people that's not gonna enjoy like the outcome of what's on the screen, you know. So
absolutely. And so, I mean, for me, that was a 3.5.
oh yeah.
I think I gave it a 3 or a 3.5. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Hmm.
But no matter what, it fell in that range. And for me,
Yeah.
that's fine. For an Until Dawn, a movie that like it wasn't my most anticipated film of the year by any
Oh, not at
means.
all.
It kind of came out. I thought the preview looked horrible. I'm not gonna lie.
It did. It
Yeah.
did.
So when I saw the preview, I was like, I don't really care to see that. The
Mm,
only reason why I actually rushed to go see it was because you left there saying something positive about it. So I was like,
yeah.
all right, let me get there before it's out of theaters, because that's always my big fear. If I don't do it
Hmm.
right away, I don't do it. And yeah, I was pleased.
And I
And
knew that was like one of the only games that you played. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's
So
true, actually.
I'm like, all right, I think he'll like it. But it mixed that 2000 era of horror. You know what I mean? And so I think that let's give it time, and I think people will enjoy it. I think
Mm.
because I think it will be definitely one of those films that
Ooh,
come up.
it will be like 13 Ghosts.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. It will definitely be that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It'll be in that category. Um, But yeah, we listen and we hear everything in the community of what people think about it. I heard some positives, I heard negatives, but kind of it's hard. You
Yeah.
can't satisfy everybody.
I do
But
like how connected you and I are to uh reviews people give,
yeah,
because like when we
yeah,
see reviews, we're just like, all right. Like sometimes
yeah,
we sit back and we're like, all right, well, I kind of know how that person
yeah,
views movies, and I kind of
yep.
know what to expect from them already. Not
Hmm.
everybody, but sometimes we kind of already know that, like, all right, they typically don't fall where I fall on
Hmm.
how they view movies, so that's fine. But yeah, I do enjoy seeing people's opinions at
And
times.
that was funny because I was gonna bring that up. The same thing I was sitting there, like running that through my head because the next film that we're getting ready to talk about just released and it was straight up crazy. You haven't been able to see it yet, but it was Final Destination
Right,
Bloodlines.
right.
And so there's so many mixed reviews on that. I had a great time at the theater. I was able to check it out on IMAX. Me and my daughter had gone. It holds up to the franchise, but they just did something a little different. And so, I had told you I enjoyed it. And then, I said, okay, well, let me see. How can I place this? And I brought up someone's review and then I put up to another one because you look at the two things where it's like our buddy Doug that was on the show before, he absolutely enjoyed it. You know what I
That
mean?
shocks me.
Yes. So shout out to Doug. Um,
Because
and that's the
he's
thing.
hated a lot of movies that we liked.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
but we have a mixture. Me and Doug have a love for, Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. So I trust, there's like little points where I could sit there
yeah.
and be like, okay, I can bounce it off to Dave and say, hey, this person hated it, this person loved it, and then like we always find ourselves somewhere in the middle or of
Yep.
something, of giving something a chance or kind of being the same way. But for Final Destination Bloodlines, I was on the fence because, like I said, whenever I go to IMAX, it always gets an extra like half star because of just the
It's the
experience
experience.
kind of throws it on. And, I was on that fence of like giving it a 4, and I'm like, wait, it's a little bit too high. And I'm like, all right, 3.5 is suitable for that. And I'm like, because I had a good time. But man, the kills in that film are just so nuts. And then seeing it on that big screen, and just, there was that moment where we see Tony Todd on the screen,
Yeah.
and just that moment alone, I think it crushed a lot of people, you know what I mean? Because even, his acting that he just left was kind of just like, okay, like, we talked about him kind of being sick. I
Yeah.
think that this was that he know that this was probably his last project, and he kind of puts that out there, kind of like, you know what I mean? And I think it was like a good, send off for him. And I think that a lot of people will remember that scene forever. And even when you talk with some people, the people are just like, well, that was the best part of that movie for me. That didn't
I
like the
don't
movie.
I don't know if this is true, but I read a headline today, and
Mm,
I haven't seen it, so I don't know exactly what this, what it pertains to. But there
hmm.
was a dialogue that he gives, or a speech that he gives. I
Yeah.
read that it was unscripted.
Oh, was it?
I
Yeah.
mean, it was a headline I read, so right
I'm,
there, I'm kind of putting that out there that I can't verify this,
yeah.
but I read it was unscripted.
Dude, I'm telling you,
That
man,
Yeah. So
that
I don't know if
that
that adds another element to the scene itself, if you
that's
know
crazy.
that. So
That's
just
crazy
something to
because
think
you could
about.
feel it. Because you could feel it. Because you could feel it. And I mean that's something that I had going home with, like kind of thinking like shit, man, like just that, like the conversations and everything that we had with him, and it definitely hit on that, like that home street, because it was just like he was just straight up talking to you, like yeah.
So I'm actually looking it up right now, and it's on numerous
Hmm.
websites, IGN, Screen Rant, that he goes off script with his final goodbye, or an
Yeah.
unscripted bittersweet speech. So things like that. So it does sound like that could
Th-
be a true statement right there.
that was dope then, you know what I mean? That was dope because just to even hear that, because I didn't look that up or I didn't see that, but just that added, you know,
Yeah,
little
it's a little thing there.
that's crazy. So I had a great time though, so I know there's some people the film's not for them, or even the franchise might not even be for them.
I think that's a
But
big thing for people to acknowledge too, because like you can
yeah,
like the first film and the second film,
yeah,
and then the third and fourth and fifth might not have connected as much for you. And if that's you, it's like the Saw movies. You can
yeah,
like one and two, and the rest. That doesn't mean you're a huge Saw franchise person. It just means you like the two like original installations. So I think some
yeah.
people need to just acknowledge that maybe those films aren't necessarily for them. I mean, five as for me, I think five. I can't remember if four or five was the one that I liked the least of the Final Destination movies, but even that I still found entertaining and enjoyed.
Oh yeah, they're
You
all
know, so
the
it's
kills are just like so nuts, and just the whole setup.
yeah,
And I love what they did with this one, setting up like a family. So it was pretty cool, So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out on the big screen. See it in IMAX if you can. Because even also Mark gave it a 4.5. You know what I mean? So he had a great time. We were
whoa,
talking
yeah.
about it. And I'm telling you, man, it
And I
was a
trust
good
Mark
time.
too, because
Oh
Mark
yeah.
always gives pretty decent. And he also takes into consideration like fun factor
Yeah.
and like experience that he had with it. So and that's typically how I kind of look at things too.
Yeah, you have to, what I mean? So it's like I said, IMAX, Dave, IMAX.
Yeah,
Don't take
yeah,
it to any other screen because like I say it to everybody all the time. Like if a film is made for IMAX, make sure you see it because you're not going to get the same experience on the other screen. And and I'm sorry if you don't have IMAX in your area because some theaters are not, able to have them.
yeah,
But, like I said, when I went to go see Nope on a regular screen, it didn't hit the same.
yeah. I bet.
And even, I seen Sinners 4 times. Three out of the four were in IMAX, and I just went to go see it the other night. I had taken my daughter, and I just seen it on the regular screen. And it's a great movie still, but it's the IMAX
It's not the
experience
same.
takes it to a whole nother level,
Yeah.
So
I've met a lot of like just like non horror fans
hmm
recently that have saw it in the regular theater, and I
yeah,
feel like they didn't connect to it or they didn't get like. But part of me is thinking like, oh, they also didn't get that experience that we had of watching it at IMAX and just kind
yeah,
of being immersed in it. So I think that has something to do with some of the people's takeaways from it.
yeah. And also another film.
Yeah,
We've read the books. I mean, I had got them for you. I got
yeah,
them signed from you,
got
from
me
my
hooked on
boy
it, man. Yeah,
Adam Caesar. Shout out to Clown in the Cornfield. You were able to do a little book review on
I
that?
did. I was yeah. So I mean, I thank you, Brandon, for getting that book for me, and you
Yep.
got me the second and third one too. Which for people listening, that'll be coming up in probably give me like a month or so, and I'll get to at least
Mm,
number two pretty soon. I've been cruising through books lately, crushing them.
yeah.
Yeah, we both were able to check out Clown in a Cornfield, and also kind of the same as what we're talking about here with like Until Dawn. I think that
Yeah.
people it might even be a different thing happening here. I think because we read the book,
hmm
we're maybe connecting to the film differently
Yeah.
in a more positive way than people who didn't read the book. We were kind of like noting that like if
Yeah.
reading the book, like it's weird because I did compare a lot of things in my head, but I always do that when there's like a book to film adaptation. Like that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
Really hard. Like I never expect the movie to be better than the book because there's so much more added to the book, right?
Yeah.
But for this, I think we appreciated everything we were seeing more because it was putting a visual to all the things that we read.
Exactly.
And I think I walked out of there saying, like, yeah, damn, that was a good experience. And they did it,
hmm
I think they did it justice. But then, honestly, I did hear a lot of people, and we talked about it a little bit. Not everybody enjoyed it as much as us.
Yeah.
And we were, you had suggested, like, I wonder how many of these people actually read the book, though.
Yeah. Because even when I was in the theater, when some of the, spoilers or anything like that from the book, you already knew ahead of time kind of going in what's going to happen. So when some things happened, everybody was kind of like in shock, like, oh my God. So it was like, all right, this full theater did not read the book at all.
Right. Right.
So, you know what I mean? It was just like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And even with, when I met Adam, you know what I mean? I talked to him. I was always, I always sit there and say because he was like so heavy in the process of like the film because they had brought him on set and even the promotion. I want to shout out to everybody that's doing the promotion, Shutter, and everyone that was over there because they kept Adam included into everything. You know what I mean? He was on the red carpet at the premieres
Mhm.
and doing so much stuff. Like sometimes, the authors are never like roped in along. They're just kind of just like pushed to the side. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is our project. But that was kind of cool to see him involved in everything and just being
Did
happy.
Did you see who we invited to the red carpet event?
Yeah,
The
Aaron.
premiere? Our
Aaron.
boy Aaron Beauregard got
Yeah.
invited. And he was posting photos, taking like photo ops with Adam. But yeah, that was
Yep.
really cool that he brought some hometown guys over there.
Yeah. I mean, Adam is just a down to earth guy, you know what I mean? And so when I talked to him, I was just like, dude, all right, so you already know what's going on in the movie. Da 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 da. Did they kind of keep everything in that you wanted to keep in? And he was just like, yeah, I think they did a great job with whatever, you know what I mean? Because that's the
Hmm.
thing, sometimes some things aren't taken out um of films, because they just want to kind of make it their own or thinking that it's not going to fit or they don't have the time or it's just whatever to kind of keep the story rolling. So he was happy with what they kept and like even the town. He was just like, dude, they made like
Oh,
the town. And he goes, they brought
yeah.
my vision to life. He goes, and I can't, ever, let that just bypass like just like it meant nothing to me because it does. It meant the world just seeing his words come together and the visuals just appearing on the screen. And like he was telling me, like, dude, I watched so many fucking slasher movies. He's a big fan of all
Yeah.
franchises and
Oh,
everything. He
yeah.
goes, I watch so many slasher movies when I go in to create these books. So, yeah, if you haven't gotten the books yet, definitely go pick them up. You're on the second. Did you just start the second book?
Not yet. That's
Oh,
my next
the
book.
second, the second book's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I'm on the third book, probably on like chapter 4 of the third book, but I gave it time. I was like, all right, let me kind of like set this
Yeah.
down because I had other books lined up. But yeah, the third book's starting off really good too. So I think you'll be happy on the direction of everything that's going. So if
So I think what you said about the town was like that
yeah,
that was probably the most impressive thing to me as like an
yeah,
adaptation. Like they captured that town exactly how I pictured it in my head, the diner and everything. Like that
mm-hmm,
whole scene felt exactly what I pictured. I really did end up enjoying the design of Friendo more than I
yeah,
thought from the preview. Um, I thought the clown was pretty effective. I was like, this will be a cool costume if you start to see people dressed up as Friendo at like cons or
yeah,
something. I could picture that.
yeah. I guess yeah. And that's good because you know what I mean, like even like we talked about this book years and years and years ago, but you don't realize how many missed gems are in that
Mhm.
horror world because they're in the young reader section and this is
Yeah.
where this is and so sometimes some people just want that, elevated horror like Stephen King book. Like you don't have to look for that. It's like sometimes you know what I mean? Like I rather have that young
Yeah. Yeah.
readers like view because it's like we're missing books like Adams, Clown and Cornfield. So definitely, it's a book that you can definitely check out and read with your kids because your kids will definitely enjoy it. If you're a horror fan, if they're horror fans, definitely check out. We have some other. We'll list off a name of authors and everything like that that have a lot of
Hmm.
great books that you can definitely look into to kind of get your child going. Kind of like R.L. Stein. Yeah,
R.L. Stein and Christopher Pike did it for us. So,
yeah.
and that I've been collecting like the young adult horror novel, like fiction novels for a while, like those
Mm,
like the ones from when we were kids with
yep,
like the blood drip at the top of you always know when you're going to find them because they have that blood drip on the corner. Kind of like
yep,
Goosebumps had like the ooze coming down on the sides of theirs over here. They had
yep.
that blood drip. I've been collecting those, and there's so many out there that I didn't even know existed when I was a kid, and I've just been collecting them. I got stacks and stacks to read of all those. So yeah, we definitely got to fill people in on who to be looking for.
Yeah, I just always remember that as a kid. You know what I mean? When the Scholastic Book Fair came to
Yep,
school and you just had that money lined up, man.
you're ready.
You had the Goosebumps, the Animorphs, and a fucking and a bookmark And then like I wasn't the guy that got the posters though. I bet you were the guy that got the little Lamborghini posters and shit
No,
like
no, no,
that.
no. Please, all I had was like sports like pictures on my walls, and
Yeah,
that was
S-
pretty much it. And then
Sports Illustrated kids.
yeah, right.
Nah, that was a good time, man. But yeah, definitely Goosebumps. You know what? For me, my favorite Goosebumps, spin-off books were the ones where you kind of create your own destiny, where it was just like skip to page 5 or
Yeah,
it's
choose your own
20.
adventure type books. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh shit, like this is different. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And like, I think that they should actually kind of create like a show like that, kind of like how they did with Black Phone. I think Black Phone did something like
I
that,
think
right?
they did that with adult movies.
Not Black Phone. What am I saying? Like, Black Mirror.
Yeah,
I
they
think they
did that
had a
with
season.
like adult movies.
Adult movies. What
Yeah,
kind of adult movies?
you know what kind. You could
What?
choose what you want them to do. You
Oh
didn't see
no.
those apparently. You missed those. But yeah, that would be really cool to get
Actually, you know
that.
what? Yeah, 50 Cent created one of those a long time
I'm
ago.
sure he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what they want you to do.
Speaking of R.L. Stein,
Yeah,
we got something to look forward to this week, huh?
we do. What do we got forward to look to, man?
Fear Street Prom Queen.
Mm.
And if I had actually planned this better, I would have pulled out Prom Queen behind me because it's literally on the shelf over there.
No,
But
okay.
it's an adaptation of the Fear Street series installation, Prom Queen. And this is just a one-off, right? They're not doing
I think
multiple
so.
of this, right?
Yeah. I think it's just one.
So it's the 1992 novel, and it's going to
Mm.
be coming up on Netflix this Friday, May 23rd.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to that.
Hell
The,
yeah.
the trailer released last week. That looks great because I'm a big fan of the Fair Street, Netflix series that they had last time. You know what I mean? Those films were great. We got a trilogy last time. Now we got one, but I'm definitely gonna look forward to whatever's next after this because I think that, all his books and everything like that deserve, that
Yeah.
spinoff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that a lot of kids kind of deserve, what we had as a kid, so, just even having like Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark and stuff. This is that stepping stone. Like, I Are You Afraid of the Dark came back in a different way where it was like a full season like of like the same thing, but it was
Hmm.
just like, I think we need to have that, anthology,
Absolutely.
back for these
Yeah.
kids because I think that's what we're missing today. You know what I mean? It's we're in that time of streaming because it's like everyone knows what they want to watch and it's like the same thing and it's like it's so sad to see, but when I turn on Nickelodeon or Disney for my younger daughter, um, it's the same shit, dude. It's like Loud House and SpongeBob playing
Yeah.
over and over
Over.
on repeat.
I know.
Like how? Like
Right.
what is this? Like where's the selection? Like you know what I mean? Like,
It's even like MTV playing ridiculousness
yeah.
on like for 24 hours. Like where is
Hmm.
the variety here?
Yeah.
But it's TV's not the same anymore. It's not made the same.
Yeah. Something else popped up today too, and I was just like, remember when MTV had Rock and Jock? You know what I mean?
Oh, snap.
They had a picture of Paulie Shaw playing baseball. Like, dude, that was so crazy.
I used to love that would be like an event getting
Yeah.
ready for Rock and Shock, like the softball one or the basketball one.
Mm.
Like, or they did a football one too. I think they did a flag football game. But
Yep.
like, I remember getting so pumped when that was going to be on, and they would play it multiple times over the weekend. But
Yeah.
like, if you caught it after the weekend, they would have like a smaller edited version of it, which was like
Hmm.
quicker. So you just wanted to watch it the weekend of, so you could see like the full. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
We need
wild.
that back. We need that back. I think that's the thing right now where a lot of our celebrities and everything that we didn't know them as much as we do now because it's like you have the Instagram page, we have everything, and they're kind of like giving us that content coming in. So it was just like so different to see them like step up and play basketball,
Yeah,
football, or swim, or just it was those different things. Like you had TLC, Aaliyah playing basketball. They had that higher rim that was just like
yeah.
worth more points
It
and
was like
shit.
it was like a 20-point shot or something like that, or a 10-point shot. Yeah.
Dude, or even like I'd thrown on Legends of the Hidden Temple and it was like kind of watching that shit or Guts, you know what I mean? fucking Wild and Crazy
Family Double
Kids.
Dare, all that stuff. Yeah.
What the fuck? Give us this back.
I always want to see like ooze getting dumped on like your mom's head or something like that. And like they're playing Family Double Dare. Like that was the best.
Like that's the closest I got to that right now is shout out to, Flying Lotus and fucking
Yeah.
VHS because he had a little segment of a horror segment of like Legends of the Hidden Temple and I
That's
thought that
right.
was fucking dope,
That was funny.
so had to bring it all around to
Yeah.
connect it back in, you know what I mean? But
Otherwise, we're just two old dudes complaining about the society and kids these
But I'm
days.
sure everybody is just listening is like, fuck yeah, yes, yeah, you're right. We need that. We need that. But yeah, man, do something more. But I'm happy that, Fair Street is able to be connecting with the youth of today. And, you know, I think that we're gonna have something special coming up, down the road that's gonna continue to keep doing this. Because actually, you know what? Who else did that? Eli Roth, he made the kids spin-off cartoon
Yes. And
stuff.
also another shout out to something like this, but like they did do a Christopher Pike one of this too. What was that
Mm.
called? The Initiation.
Yeah,
That
okay.
was a Netflix show.
Mm.
It just didn't get the same like
Treatment.
treatment that because it's like Fear Street, R.L. Stein's
Yeah.
Fear Street. Like they didn't do that for that one, but they did a like that was back when right after they did the Fear Street trilogy, they did the
Yeah.
Christopher Pike adaptation. So hopefully they do more of that stuff. And also just like shout out to R.L. Stein. He's still pumping out books like constantly.
No, okay. Yeah.
I follow him on X and like it feels like every 3 weeks the dude's like, here's the new cover to this Goosebumps installation or this,
Oh, yeah.
and he's still doing it. Like, so that guy's the man,
Yeah. Shout out to R.L. Stein. That was cool because I remember over the pandemic he did like a little video chat thing with I think I forgot which setup it was, but me and Ava were able to kind of go on and do like a live stream,
Cool.
and he was able to ask him questions and stuff like that. So I think that was cool. So shout out to R.L. Stein, still working out there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
hell yeah. I know he did come around at one point, like a
Mm,
couple of years ago, I think it was, or maybe it was last year. I didn't get to meet him. I would love to meet him at some point. Like he's just
like,
he's a legend,
yeah.
Meet your legends.
I actually seen a little reel the other day with this little comedian guy. He was like, it said, "What do you first think of when you first wake up?" And he goes, "How to get this fucking money?" And he was just like, "Nah, that wasn't it." He goes, "I was thinking that actually back in, when I was in preschool and someone put on Goosebumps and I shit my pants." And then somebody was like, "What's that smell?" And he goes, "Me, bitch." He goes, "Nobody should be having Goosebumps on like this." But yeah, shout out to R.L. Stein making people shit their pants. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Man. Also, just talking about, books and everything that have been turned into films. We had the new trailer for It, Welcome to Derry. You know what I mean? That dropped today. Have you been able to check it out yet?
I didn't watch it yet. I've scrolled, I've seen people it posted. I want to like give it my undivided attention. So I just kind of like was like, I'll watch
Yeah.
it later.
So I had thrown it on and I was just like, all right, cool. I'm definitely looking forward to what they have. They are definitely heading into the right direction and everything. They're going back to 1962 and they're bringing Bill Skarsgård back to bring his Pennywise back on the screen. So I think that's like a good choice, you know what I mean? Because I feel as though that why do something different if something
For
else is
sure.
working? We already had two films with this guy that, people are loving. Why bring in someone different that's not gonna reach that level and then
Oh,
be like, I'm not watching that show. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
And honestly, he is Pennywise to so many people,
Yeah.
like to the younger audience that didn't
Mm-hmm.
experience Tim Curry. He is their Pennywise.
Yeah.
So it would have had huge like uproar if they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandon, I want to ask you a question. I thought I posted the trailer to Welcome to Derry like 7 months ago on
Yeah, you thought you did too. Dude, people were fucking pissed off in the comments, like, "This is fake. This is fucking fake, dude. This is not even it." I'm like, "Yo, Dave, I'm like, you posted a fucking fake fucking trailer, fan made trailer. I'm like, I had to fucking spin it like, hey, 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 we give love to everybody, even fan films too. You know what I
This is a
mean?
joke. This is a joke.
We just joking.
Dude,
Uh,
that trailer got it blew up too, which
it
is
did. It did
hilarious.
well. It did well because I was saying like, should we take it down? I'm like,
Like it's
I'm
got
like,
too many views. We can't at this point.
but that's the thing. You get caught up with this shit when, like, damn, people like they're just so hungry to, kind of build stuff and kind of get people in the wrong direction, or even just trying to like build up the hype. Because I think at the same time, I think that's what that person was trying to do. At the same
Yeah.
time, trying to get hits and get paid.
Yeah, yeah.
But uh, just understand that's not where we were coming from. Like sometimes you get those things sent to you, and it's just like, hey, like the new trailer just dropped or whatever, and it's
Dude,
just like you don't
I'll,
know.
I'll never forget that morning I saw that trailer and I was like, oh shit, they dropped the new trailer to Welcome to Derry. I was like, I gotta post this. I was
Mm.
so excited. And then yeah, the next day, I think it was, you gave me that message and I was like, damn it.
These motherfuckers are creative though, man, because they fucking got the time to like take clips from all these fucking different
Yeah.
movies and kind of like put something together. And it's like, yeah, this is gonna work. I can see there's somebody sitting there making something like I think you probably even made that shit,
I
probably.
wish I had time to make that shit. You know how much time that was a lot of energy they put into that. That was a well-made fake trailer. So congrats to
Well
that dude.
done. Well done
He
on your
deserved
fucking fake
that.
trailer. Ah, man.
All right. So Welcome to Derry is definitely something that I am like very, very excited for.
Mm. And that's the thing too, I think they're gonna get it right because this is you know, a show, a series, and we see how well, some of these things are done when they give that extra time. You know what I mean? So they will focus on a little bit more. So I wonder how many episodes we're gonna get on this. I didn't even
I don't
check it
know.
out.
I got to be honest with you. This is probably one of those films or
Mm.
that I've always wanted more expansion on. Like not every
Yeah.
time like I watch something do I'm like, oh, I wish I could learn more about like the background of like this character or but like it
Yeah.
I've always wished to hear more about Pennywise and his background or
Yeah.
just the story of Derry a little bit more and other people and how it impacted them. Like that was just because as you know, like the original it obviously hit us at a time like when we that was one of my first brief experiences with horror and it got me right
Yeah.
away. So like that's just story has always kind of sat with me. And like, yeah, I really hope they do it well.
Hmm.
And I really hope they kind of give more light to the town of Derry, but also Pennywise's character a little bit.
Yeah, because it's so crazy, because I had gone down to Bangor a few years ago, and I was telling you, like, dude, when you go down there, definitely take this tour. It's called the SK Tours. So shout out to SK Tours. They know their shit. They're family that's really close to the Kings. So he brought me and my wife down to some of the main locations of, where Stephen King would, just kind of come up with the ideas and just was able to see how much he's done for the community of Bangor, Maine. And it's so cool because whenever something goes wrong, him and his wife are just there to kind of like take care of it. You know what I mean? And so, there's a lot of things about it doesn't matter how much money you make or how much you do. It's about how much you give back and you give back to your fans and to your community because it's like, dude, like if you go to his house, that dude has a RAV4, whatever in his car. He does not give a fuck about like material shit. You know what I mean? He's just about making sure everything's all set. You know what I mean? Like there's buildings that fucked up. He's there to fix it, and then like we said, me and you work with people with disabilities. The Ronald McDonald House is something that is really big for families that, when they're coming to town and their child is in care somewhere and they need a place to stay, the Kings set up that, Ronald McDonald House and everything, getting it all set, getting it going. So just that experience of just seeing everything that he's done. He has a nice baseball field for the kids down there, a park. It's just amazing, you know what I mean? So shout out to him and his family and his son, Joe. You might know him as Joe Hill as another author
Mm-hmm.
for other films and books that we've loved. Um, yeah, shout out to the Kings, man, because it's so cool. And like I was saying before I got onto that, the tour, they kind of like gave you like the whole visuals of everything. Like I was able to see like the manhole that Stephen King walked by and said, "This is where Georgie's going to
Hmm.
see Pennywise for the first time." So it's like it's just a regular manhole. It's a regular
Yeah.
thing. It doesn't look like anything from the movies, but just the whole design of everything, and then just like him walking down the streets, or even the new film that's coming out, the Long Walk. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I was able to see the road that he visualized. This is the road that they're walking down. And even the pet cemetery from the film, everything that was going on over there, and just his drive, like whenever things were going bad or whatever, the family needed money, the wife would say, "Steve, get out there and make a new monster." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He
Yeah.
would just kind
Yeah.
of walk up and down the streets and kind of, come up with some crazy idea. And so, that's the thing, man. I appreciate everything he's done for the horror community, and he's still going too, just like R.L. Stein.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't stop. Doesn't
So,
stop.
yeah.
Um, so some Jason news. What do we got for Jason, Brandon? You tell us.
Uh, so I want to say, what was that? I think this was last year. This whole thing of the Jason universe had released,
Yeah.
he was thrown into this video game. It was for like the WB. And so we had seen that, okay, hey, the Jason universe is here. Like, what's this going to mean? And it was like this whole thing where you could sign up to stay up to date with all the Jason news. We've been given, like I said, he was in the video game with a lot of WB stars like LeBron, the Looney Tunes gang. It's kind of set up kind of like the Smash Brothers, like a little fighting game and everything. So, I think they also have this thing where I think he might be in Fortnite and stuff. And so like, okay, hey, we're going in the right direction. But just the other day they revealed a new Jason Voorhees design because we're also in, the 45th anniversary of Friday the 13th. So they decided to, release a new design that was created by Greg Nicotero. You might know him from The Walking Dead and a lot more as a FX designer. But a lot of people weren't happy. You know what I mean? When that design came out, they didn't like the look of Jason, and a lot of people also touched on like how he kind of resembled, the Jason from Never Hike Alone,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so there's like
I
this,
saw that comparison.
yeah, and people are like, oh, this is a terrible mask. And so a lot of people kind of thrown out there saying they think that that was kind of created with like AI or something like that. So I don't know, but like at the end of the day, I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Because it's just like,
That's what my whole thing is. Like,
yeah,
what is it for?
yeah. I
Like, what
don't
are we
know.
doing here?
Yeah, I'm
Just
just
looking at it?
because they just released something and it's just like this is what it is, and it's just like,
A
hey,
picture of it?
yeah,
We
like
don't even like get it to play it in like a Friday the 13th video game when it's not like in a new movie. It's just like there.
yeah, they I don't know. They also touched on another game or something like that. So
Okay.
I don't know.
I was curious because remember when Tom Savini
Yeah,
did the what was the big Jason he
that
did? The
was
Ultimate Jason or something?
yeah. It was like it's supposed to be DLC for
But that never happened, right?
yeah, that all fell through because of the legal battle. So
Yeah.
a lot of people were upset. Shout out to Peter Anthony. He also had a cosplay of that suit, and it looked awesome. But yeah, man, it's like we missed so much in that lawsuit. But now I feel as though that coming out of the legal battle stuff, and we're getting this, and it's just like I don't think a lot of fans are kind of happy because it's like, I've like you said, I've read on a lot of threads and posts and comments and stuff. Like people were saying, like, hey, like give the guys from Never Hike Alone and Roseblood and everybody else the thanks of everything of keeping this going. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Work with them, bring them on. And I think they deserve that because they kind of kept fans
They've
on
been
there.
championing him, yeah.
Yeah, they kept Jason alive for people that haven't been able to kind of see anything new. So I think
And we've had like so we had Vincent DeSanti at our markets. setting up a booth there, and he got to meet fans. And a few times, like I was able to like stand next to him while people were meeting him, and just hearing their like the way they're talking to him about how they, how much they appreciate those films he made and all that stuff. It's like that's cool, man. That's the point of this. It's to keep that franchise going, to keep it alive, give your own spin to it, and like obviously it's connecting with people, so that's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, man, what the direction is or what they're supposed to be doing, but I'm on the lookout.
I mean, I know
see.
we still do we still have the Peacock
show
coming at
the
some
TV
point,
show,
A24
the
connection.
prequel. They have some actors and everything assigned to it already, so I think we'll definitely be happy with something like that. So we'll see when it's going to be released.
Sure.
But I know they're working on that now. So other than that, they gave us that, visual of Jason. They was just like, oh, it looks like he's on Ozempic or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And it was funny because like one of the bigger, like it might even have been Vincent himself, like put the side by side of the Never Hike Alone and then this one. And like the biggest difference was like just the shape of the mask.
The mask, and the people were like, what's the direction? Because his hands look like they have life to him. Like, what I mean? He's not dead anymore. Like, what's going on here? Like, what I mean?
That's different.
So I don't know. I think that, the Jason universe is going to have to kind of give us a little bit more detail on that because I don't know. What I mean? Sometimes it's like, even when I go over like promo pics or something like that, I got to send a few to you and be like, what are you doing you like the best? Like, what I mean? So I hope that's what they did because
you got to run it by
there's
someone.
There's some other photos that's probably out there that probably look a little bit better, but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that design's it. I don't know who said, that's the one.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't.
Well, so here's some, I know some people got to do a screening of the new film by the Filippo brothers, right? Danny and Michael. It's called Bring Her Back.
Yeah.
So there's been pretty decent amount of like film reviewers and stuff like that who have already watched it, some that we connect with or that we follow on social media. I've literally heard nothing but amazing things.
Yeah, and shout out to them, like I said before, because even Cortland from Oddest of the Odd that works close with them, when he was kind of like when they were working on it, he had told me, he goes, dude, this one's gonna be crazy, and it sounds like they're living up to that hype. I have seen a lot of 4.5s or straight fives across the board. How fucked up it is. Like if you enjoyed the last film, Talk to Me, this is going to blow that away. So
it sounds like another one about some like heavy stuff though. Again, like this one is about grief from what I understand.
Yeah.
So they definitely, it's funny because they're kind of like, they look goofy, not like they look goofy, but like they look they act goofy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they look like they probably mess around with each other, pull pranks. They look like those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And then they make these really heavy horror films, which is like such a weird contrast. But hey, I appreciate it. That's cool. I'm always into that.
Yeah. They had the screening in Boston again, like when I was able to go see Talk to Me, but it just fell on another night where it was just like I have work and it's
all
like
these
can't fucking make it, dude.
Yeah,
it's
these
like
screenings drop on the worst.
Yeah, so I think it was like a Monday or like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was like one of them, but it's like I work, and so it's like shit, and it's like you can't do it, you can't make all of them, but that's definitely one that I wish I was able to see before it came out, kind of just like Talk to Me, because I think that when you watch those films at a time with that crowd that's also kind of been looking forward to like the trailers and all the news or everything like that, being able to check that out before it releases and then kind of give that feedback to your crowd. But yeah, I'm definitely hooked to those guys for whatever they're doing. Like I'm gonna check out, I'm gonna support them. So yeah, definitely check out Bring Her Back when it hits the screen.
Absolutely.
So I think it would definitely be worth it.
So I know we already touched on Adam Caesar's Clown in a Cornfield, but there's some other news with that as well, right?
Yeah.
Or with him, I should say.
Yeah, so he's actually set to write The Toxic Avenger, the official movie novel. So, I mean, I think that's big. We talked about it earlier. The Toxic Avenger is going to be back in the big screen in August. So, you never really thought that you would see like a novel to this book. Like,
No,
I mean? So
no.
I think that's big, and I think they hired the right guy for this. And I think that,
Yeah.
because he's a big fan of, like I said, of horror in general. So I think that, I think he'll get the job done with that.
He posted a pre-order link on X. I don't know where else it is available, but because I
Mm,
had to click on it just to see, is this real? And
yeah.
yeah, sure enough, it is. So the cover isn't solidified yet for the novel, but they are already there is already a kind of like a page up where you can order it. So if you
Mm,
want to go check on his social media, I'm sure you'll be able to find it there. And just to kind of like piggyback on that, we've also been posting about this comic book from Ahoy Comics.
hmm
They're publishing a Toxic Avenger comic series, which is going to be hitting the shelves in July. And they've had a lot of like special stuff like leading up to that. Like last month, or earlier this month, they released some like Toxic Avenger pinup
hmm
issues with some like special artwork on there. But each of the comics is going to have a cover done by a different artist. That's part of like the Ahoy Comics family, pretty much. So that looks really cool. If you guys want to see like previews of what that looks like, check out our Instagram or any of our social medias. Actually, I posted it pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy Toxic Avenger summer.
Yeah,
Um, I had just gone down to PAX East. If you're
yeah.
not familiar with that, that's a big gaming convention, kind of like a Comic Con for games. I was actually able to go hands-on with the new Toxic Crusader game that's going to be releasing. They don't have an official date yet. They're going to probably release the date at San Diego Comic Con. But I was able to go hands-on with that, and that game was amazing. If you grew up in our era and you're a big fan of, beat 'em up style games such as like the Ninja Turtles,
Double Dragon, right? Like with a
Double
character like that.
Dragon,
Yeah,
the Avengers little game, The Simpsons,
yeah,
there's so many more, you know what I mean? But just those are just some for that, just to kind of give you the idea. But this game is amazing where you just kind of can play with friends. Shout out to Klep from We Are Critics. We were able to kind of play it together. We were able to play it for like the Xbox Series X, and everything ran really smooth. Um, I was able to talk to some of the creators of the game to get the idea of like what's it gonna look like as like a full product and everything. So definitely check it out. It's definitely gonna be a great game. And for parents that are like, oh, wait a minute, the movie's like so terrible. Like, no, this is gonna touch on like the cartoon, and so I think it'll be a kid-friendly game,
yeah.
nothing crazy. So, definitely
And
look
also,
out for that.
and I think Toxic Crusaders, the whole show is actually streaming. I think it's on Screenbox. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, the creators of the game from RetroWare, they were letting me know that like the whole cartoon series is going to be repackaged again and sold on 4K. So, if you're a big fan of the Toxic Crusaders or anything like that, definitely look into that more news because it's going to be a toxic summer.
Yeah, that's for sure. So in other news, just a couple more announcements made, I guess. So Netflix will be releasing season 2 of the show Wednesday, which I know was
hmm
a pretty popular show for most people. Maybe not us, but other people. And
Mm.
this time they're going to be releasing it in 2 parts,
Uh,
which I absolutely hate, but that's
yeah, I'm not
cool
a
for
fan of
them.
that.
So part 1 of it will be releasing on August 6th, and part 2
Mm.
will be releasing on September 3rd. And I think this actually, I kind of am like, maybe I want to give this one a try. So maybe I do need to like go through the first season because
Mm.
it's going to focus more on the family, but especially like the relationship between Wednesday and Morticia. We're going to get to see more of like the family members and all that stuff. And they also announced that they're working on a spinoff for an Uncle Fester show, which
Okay.
would be really cool.
Yeah. Well,
Madam's
that's
Family Values right there.
Yeah, and that's not bad though when they split it up in 2 parts because that's going to be August and then September.
Yeah.
You know
By
what I
the
mean?
time you finish that first part, the next part will
Yeah.
be coming.
Yeah, that's not bad, you know what I mean? That's not like a 6 month,
Yeah,
wait. So
right.
that's not bad.
Yeah, I do honestly. I might retry season one because I
Mm,
kind of want to watch this, but who knows?
yeah,
Maybe I'll just skip to season two. So, and they did. I don't know if you saw it, but they had like the family portrait, which was cool.
yeah,
Yeah, to
yep.
seeing everybody, and you know, I think they did a pretty decent job with the way everyone looks. So I just want to kind of see how they're gonna like how it's gonna feel.
Mm. That's cool. So, yeah, my daughter was a big fan of the first season. And talking about Jenna Ortega too, I was able to go check out her and the new weekend film
Oh,
titled
that's right.
Hurry
That's
Up
right.
Tomorrow. Uh, yeah, a lot of a lot of people hated that film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
I
it?
saw the full preview for it in the theater the other day. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, the preview looks good.
yeah. You'd think it's something, but I don't know. I seen a few reviews of people who said this guy should have never had been given a budget to make a film about his own self, and that didn't just hit for people. And I'm just like, it's true. It's not great. It's
Yeah.
certain points, key points, and everything that like, all right, visuals are good, but like the story is just it's complete trash. You know what I mean?
So,
And I'm a
it's
big Weekend
funny.
fan.
I know we both are. And like looking at his tickets for the upcoming concert, you could have gotten like a VIP upgrade, which
Yeah.
would have included like a digital version of the movie.
No.
I'm glad I didn't do that. Not that I wanted to, but I'm glad I didn't do that because
No.
I'll just wait till watch it on there. But I did want to ask you, did all the songs from the new album play in the film?
It would play at times, not every song. The Timeless played kind of like when they were at like this little behind the scene, like party, meet and greet party or something like that. And then like the movie first starts off, it shows like a video of one of his songs, the new single, and then it just like everything kind of plays in the background at times. You know
See,
what I
I
mean?
thought the music was going to be heavily prominent in the film
Mm,
because it's got the same title, "Hurry Up
yeah,
Tomorrow" and all that stuff. And we talked about how like it's the new album is so different than his
yeah,
like there's a different vibe to it. So I thought that maybe that was for the film.
yeah. It plays most of it, but it's like it's not like overdoing it at times.
Yeah, yeah.
But like it just definitely feels like a long music video. You know what I mean? That's
He
what
already
the
did that though. What was that? Was it PM AM Dawn or
yeah.
that where he's in the
Hmm.
club as like the old man
Yeah.
singing his whole album?
Yeah, so this is different. His acting skills weren't the greatest, but it was decent, better than I thought it would be.
Was he better than in his show?
Yeah, so it's just like a lot of people were just like, um,
Over two.
yeah, like the TV show, people hated that, and then they were just like this movie is just kind of like a continuation of that
Uh,
in a certain way. So if you're a weekend fan, you know what I mean? Like, I think this is created for like those hardcore weekend fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love the weekend. Like, I'm been a fan since, the mixtapes
yeah,
back in the day,
yeah,
but I wouldn't call myself like a hardcore fan, like how some people would just dedicate their lives to him. You know what I mean? And it's just like love him. Like you see how certain fans can be, but I enjoy his music, but I think this movie is for fans like that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
hey, it is what it is. But in other news, we have our last and final, news outlet that we're gonna sit there and kind of drop. We have
Hell,
Hell,
hell.
Hell. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Hell House LLC. The franchise is heading to the big screen.
Yeah,
So I know that you're looking forward to that.
yeah.
That's gonna be the final Hell House, the lineage.
Man, you're struggling with this phone. LL.
Lineage.
Yeah, lineage.
Yes, no, it's a tongue twister. LLC lineage. Hell House LLC lineage
Got
will
to
be
mix up some letters here, guys. Come on,
you're
HHLLL. Come
fucking
on.
with me. Nah, but it will be released in theaters nationwide in the United States and Canada on August 20th, 2025. Are you looking forward to that?
So much. A huge Hell House fan. I got to meet Stephen Cognetti, who made those films when I went and did the haunt that was at the Abaddon. And when I talked to him, I said, "Oh, we got a show. We'd love for you to come on." At the time, he's like, "I really can't talk about the film, so I don't think I'd be a very entertaining guest right now."
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah, all right. Well, maybe we'll hit you up at some other point down the road." So maybe now that they're kind of like we're getting closer to the release, we can see if Steven will come on the show and talk to us a little bit about it, which would be cool. I'm just loving how many people are talking about Hell House LLC over like the last year or so. I feel like it's picked up. A lot of people have been like watching the franchise finally that maybe didn't catch on when it first came out. I just feel like it's getting bigger, and I love that for it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember when it first came out, I was just like, "What the fuck is this?" And it's just blown up. You know, we have so many installments now. We're able to throw some of the video footage and some of our trivia nights over at Buttonwoods Brewery with our buddy Sean Fitz. And I remember one of the questions I was just like, I gave the visual and I was saying, "Where was this shot?" You know what I mean? And everybody was just like so into it and had a great time. And because I didn't think a lot of people were big fans of Hell House LLC, but there are so many fans down this way. So
We love it's because people around here love a good haunted house.
yeah.
It's really big here. I mean, I'm sure it's big in other areas, but in New England, like we're huge on haunts.
Yeah.
So it definitely connects with our audience there. So yeah, this will be fun. Seeing it in a theater will be a totally different experience because we've only known it through streaming, right? So this is different for it.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if they were to bring all the other films back and put them on the big screen and to get another audience, because I think what's going to happen is when people see this is in the theater, then like, what is this? Like people that never heard of the franchise before, what is this? And go check it out. And then they're going to go back home and say, oh, I'm going to stream this. And then, they have that same idea. Like, damn, I wish I could see all these on the big screen too. And so,
yeah,
well, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we're on to something.
Maybe we should bring it to the theater.
Yeah. Because it's been cool because, Shudder has been it's cool. Like I'm gonna tell you this much right now. It's cool that when you're in the theater, because I was able to go see Flying Lotus Ash on the big screen. When you see that Shudder, logo pop up and it's like that doo.
Yeah,
it hits different because it's just like on the bigger screen. It's just like wow.
Con in the Cornfield, they did it too.
Yeah,
and that was the other thing. It's like people gotta like when they're going into these films, like realize you're watching a Shudder film on the big screen. Like that's So, that's cool to see them kind of like get to that point where they went from this streaming site that had like 20 films on it at one point to then they're making all these exclusive films and they're getting the buzz. Then now they're like the premier horror streaming site at this point. And now they're making films for the big screen. So that progression is crazy. And we've seen that since 2018 till today. So 7-year span, big progress.
Yeah. Shout out to Shudder. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for?
Yeah. I know I doubt there's anyone not subscribed at this point.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, I guess that wraps us up for our horror recap of April, May. We will, get to these as soon as we can. So hopefully next month we'll have one for you. But we'll see what the summer brings. And we'll be back though, no matter what. Follow us on all social media. We already went through all the platforms we're on. We're on pretty much all of them. And if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you haven't watched this on YouTube, get on there, like, subscribe, ring the bell.
Ring that bell.
You get the notifications of when we post, because we post pretty frequently on there. So, all right. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you later.
Take it easy.
Game over.